The nation's top military general, General Dempsey, spoke before the Senate Armed Services Committee about the possibility of Obama sending ground troops back to Iraq, and he gave a somewhat disheartening answer.
And in the case of our contributions in Iraq right now, the airmen, as the ranking member mentioned, are very much in a combat role. The folks on the ground are in a very much a combat advisory role. They are not participating in direct combat. There is no intention for them to do so. I've mentioned, though, that if I found that circumstance evolving, that I would, of course, change my recommendation.
Yeah, I think that I certainly, thinking about, as we're dealing with civilian populations, I'm not confident how this is going to happen without the assistance of our trained special operators on the ground here. But I appreciate that you've said that you have not ruled this out.
I have not, in terms of recommendations.
Thank you. Has the president ruled it out?
Well, at this point, his stated policy is that we will not have U.S. ground forces in direct combat. So, yes.
Including operators in JTAC and embedded on the ground.
That's correct. But he has told me as well to come back to him on a case-by-case basis.
So he's ruled it out, and by that he means he hasn't ruled it out. Yeah, he's made public statements, he's against it, but he also said come back on a case-by-case basis. You know what that means, right? It hasn't been ruled out. If he says, oh, yeah, just go ahead, give me your recommendations, come back to me next month. And if you say, send in ground troops, what's Obama going to do? What's he going to do? We know what he's going to do. And also, I don't know why we're playing this stupid little game. We already have ground troops in Iraq. Quote, the United States has approximately 1,600 soldiers in Iraq advising and assisting Iraqi security forces. Now, this is the con game that they play on us. Oh, no, don't worry. We're just sending in military advisors to assist and aid in the Iraqi forces taking control of their own destiny. Bullshit. In fact, did you know there are actual video clips? Tom Hartman showed one the other day of JFK in Vietnam saying the same thing about the troops we sent to Vietnam. No, fear not, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, you have to understand that the situation in Vietnam is not going to get better unless the people on the ground want it to get better. Therefore, all of the military troops that we're sending over to Vietnam, they're just military advisors. They're not actually fighting. Is anybody buying this? No, nobody bought it then. Nobody's buying it now. It's the biggest joke on the planet. You're just trying to have your cake and eat it too. This is Orwell was 100% right. They define everything as its opposite, and then they can get away with whatever. We're in favor of perpetual peace, and by that I mean we should bomb Syria and Iraq and do some ground invasions. That's peaceful. Let's do that. But that's not peace. That's war. That's war. That's like when they said, oh, we're leaving Afghanistan. We're just going to leave a residual force of 10,000 people. A residual force of 10,000 people? That's like saying, hey, let's have sex. Oh, it's okay. I'm going to pull out now. I'll just leave the tip in. But you're not pulling out if the tip's in. These things they're tautologies. They're right in front of you. You don't even need to do an interpretation. It's just right there. It is what it is. No, this is amazing, man. 1,600 ground troops on the ground. We're not going to do a ground invasion. You already have. I mean, what does it have to be? 412,000 ground troops in order for us to consider it a ground invasion? And even then you do a rhetorical tap dance where you pretend like it's not actual ground troops. And for the record, we covered this story a while back that the Daily Beast had an article where they claimed that investigative reporters saw with their own eyes that these American military advisors were shooting weapons at ISIS people. Okay, you're not an advisor at that point. You're wearing boots, you're on the ground, you're firing at a fucking enemy. How are you not fighting a war? This is the same. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of the John Kerry clip that came out a few days ago, where first he said the U.S. is not at war with ISIS. Then the White House corrected him and said, no, we are at war with ISIS. Then he was asked, on a TV show, just to clarify, are we at war with ISIS? He said, yeah, let me be clear here. We are at war with ISIS, and by that I mean we're not at war with ISIS. The government doesn't know what the fuck they're doing, man. And look, it would be one thing if the stuff they say to the public is this stupid and this contradictory and they play us for fools, but behind the scenes they're actually kicking ass and their policy is really brilliant. But that's not the case. That's not the case at all. Exactly how muddled and stupid their thinking is that they're sharing with the American public, their policy goals are that dumb as well. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're copying the George Bush doctrine and they're crossing their fingers and hope it works out. Something happened. ISIS bad. Send troops. Go bomb Syria, bomb Iraq, put ground people there. Do stuff, anger, violence, missiles, bombs. That'll solve the problem. Fight more.